look at the theology in the book of Ruth, we know that the book of Ruth is a template for a far larger issue, loaded with shadows and types. It brings to us significant issues as it challenges us to understand that all of the characters in the book of Ruth are the backdrop for historical data that points to a panoramic view of the life of Jesus Christ and the fulfillment of Jesus Christ. And suddenly we begin to recognize that when we look at a character like Elimelech, we are looking at a relationship between him and his wife, and how when Elimelech died, Naomi became very, very bitter. And in the same sense, Israel became very bitter as they lost relationship with Jehovah, and it was widowed, as it were, and estranged, a cast away woman who had become very bitter because she was denied relationship with Jehovah. And we see the two sons and seeing the splitting of the nation of Israel down to the tribe of Judah. And we begin to see how they break and divide and then die. And through their death and the famine thereof, we see Ruth, who is a Moabite woman who is connected to them by marriage. And now her husband has died and she is estranged, and she goes back to Moab, goes back to Bethlehem with Naomi. Ruth being a type of the church, Naomi being a type of Israel. The church gets connected to God through Israel, who walks her back home to Boaz, who is a type of Christ, and Boaz, who stands there and sees Ruth over in the corner, gleaning in the corners of the field, spies her and brings her from the background to the forefront, covers her with his skirts, makes her his wife, legitimizes her, authenticates her, causes her to be an heir of a grace of which she would have been estranged had her blood prevailed. But because his blood prevailed over her blood, he was able to. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful story. A famine has arose in this text in a family who is headed by Elimelech, and they leave Bethlehem, the house of bread, because of the severity of the famine, and they go to Moab. Everybody's running for their lives, They go into Moab for survival's sake, thinking that they were going to be there a short time, end up being there 10 years. Elimelech is strong enough to get Naomi out of there with their two sons and get them out of Bethlehem to Moab, but he dies in Moab, and now Naomi is widowed, surviving a famine, raising two sons in a foreign country, unable to get back home because of the famine, trying to survive against adversity, and then she loses her two sons. Now the woman has had a dead husband and now lost two sons. The husband you might could tolerate, you might could say, well, he was up in years, he was up in age, it makes sense. But to lose two sons, in the space of 10 years, she has lost every man she has ever loved. Exasperated and frustrated, she makes up in her mind, this is enough for me. We're coming to the end of the famine. I want to go back home. There is nothing left for me. She makes a statement. She says, I went out full and I came back empty. In other words, there was a famine, but I was still blessed. It's amazing because sometimes you cannot know you're blessed because you're going through a famine, only to find out that the thing that you were worried about is not nearly as significant as the thing that you had. In the midst of her famine, she still had her husband and her children. Sometimes you can have something and not appreciate it until you lose it. After that, she lost her husband and her children. The famine seemed insignificant by comparison. I say that because sometimes you're whining about things that really don't matter. You're upset about things that really don't make any difference in your life. And if you were smart, you would learn how to count your blessings and to thank God for what he's done in your life. It looked like all hell had broken loose in her life. The famine, who would have thought that a famine would come and disrupt this relatively wealthy family and cause them to flee like vagrants and move into Moab and uproot all of their heritage and leave their home and their surrounding and their friends and find themselves in Moab? Who would have thought that having gone to Moab, that she would lose the husband she was relying on to be her sustenance, her source, her friend, and her support? He died and left her there. Who would have thought that having lost her husband, she goes to rely on her sons, and both, not one, but both sons die? Who would have thought that this woman would end up in a female feminine trinity of three women whose only thing that they now share in common is that all of them have gone through death? Three women, Naomi, who is the older woman, and Ruth, who was her daughter-in-law, and Orpah, who was her other daughter-in-law. Three women whose commonality was pain. Pain is a strange company keeper. It brings the oddest people together. There is a secret fraternity that exists amongst those who have been in pain that is mind-boggling. It transcends the color of your skin. It transcends your background. When you've been through certain things, you feel for other people who have been through those things because you relate to them. And so the women shared a tear together. They wept together. They cried together. They shared pain together. They shared burial together. They shared their losses together. They shared their emptiness together. And Naomi decided, this is it. Got to split. I'm going to quit. I'm going back home where I came from. Got to go. Can't take anymore. I'm going back home. I'm bitter, but I'm going back home bitter. I'm frustrated, but I'm going back home. And they fell on Naomi and began to weep because Naomi had left a significant impression on them. And all of a sudden, in the midst of this pain, Naomi starts reasoning with them. Stop crying. Stop crying. I have no options. What am I going to do? She said, if I'm married today and had more children, what are you going to do? Wait for the children to become grown that they might be your husbands again? She said, I'm out of the game. The clock is against me. Oh, I wish I had time. At this age, at this stage, there's a reason why it happened at this age. There's a reason why it happened at this level in life. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. God didn't fall asleep on the job and the devil came in and wrecked the car. No, God never sleeps and he never slumbers. He's in complete control and he knows where you are and he knows how old you are and he knows how much time you spent and he knows what happened to you and he knows who walked out and left you and he knows who betrayed you and he knows who molested you and he knows who raped you and he knows who rejected you and he knows where you are in life and he knows about your bills and he knows about your degree and he knows you dropped out of school and he knows about what you didn't get and he knows about the health of your child and he knows about the condition of your neighborhood. Understand that and tell yourself nothing just happens. And so Orpah walks away. She walks away. I may have to turn this into a series because I can't get out of this. Orpah walks away and she cries and she goes back. And there are people who can walk away from you. And hear me when I tell you this. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. I can sit down now, I preach. I can sit down, I don't need to make an altar call or nothing. I don't have to hoop, I don't have to make you shout. I have just preached right now. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. I don't want you to try to talk another person into staying with you, loving you, calling you, caring about you, coming to see you, staying attached to you. I mean, hang up the phone. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. Your destiny is never tied to anybody that left. The Bible said that they came out from us, that it might be made manifest that they were not of us. For had they been of us, no doubt they would have continued with us. People leave you because they're not joined to you. And if they're not joined to you, you get super glue and you can't make them stay. Let them go. Ruth, on the other hand, coming to the crossroads, she looks at Orpah who left. Ruth turns to Naomi and says, as the Lord liveth, I shall not leave thee. Occasionally in scriptures, in the whole Bible, you see it happening, where people who are not even blood related spend their lives together in the most intimate connection possible. And theologians and scholars and preachers stumble about it because they don't know how to talk about it, because they don't understand the power of being joined together. How can we explain what made Elijah leave his natural mother and father and run after Elijah to wait on him, to clean his clothes, to pour water on his hand, to set up his tent? But some kind of way Elisha sensed that his destiny was tied to Elijah. How can we explain Timothy, who walks away from everything that he owns to hang out at the outside window of a jail cell as an old man prepares to be beheaded? He peeks in the window, handing him books and blankets, ministering to him. The young man understood, I'll never be who I was meant to be without you in my life. Do you hear what I'm saying? There's something about the way you talk. It feeds me. It's something about the way you speak that changes me. It's something about your spirit that motivates me, and I'll never be completed without you. And I didn't meet you by accident. I didn't stumble up and meet you. This didn't just happen. There's a reason that I'm in this place. I'm so sick of talking to people who think that everything just happens. I guess I'll go to church. I guess I'll get saved. I guess I'll move to Chicago. I guess I'll move to Dallas. That's not how it is. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Your steps were ordered. If you hadn't got the phone call that you got when you got like you got it, you wouldn't even be here right now. If you hadn't made the turn that you made yesterday, you wouldn't experience what you're experiencing today. God has been behind the curtain like a puppet master, pulling strings in your life. It's not that you're smart. It's not that you're great. It's not that you're holy. It's not that you're perfect. It's not that you're good. But God winded you up, pointed you in the right direction, released you into your destiny, and you are here and you can't get away. Slap somebody and tell them nothing just happens. Even in the midst of death, I'm up under the banner of his will. Even in the midst of pain, I'm up under the banner of his will. Even in the midst of separation and disappointment, I'm up under the banner of his will. Can I take it to the next level? Jonah was sent to Nineveh, went to Tarshish, headed for Tarshish, not obeying God. Got thrown off the boat into the belly of the fish, swallowed up for 3 days. Even though God told him to go to Nineveh and he didn't go, he was still in the will. I'm not sure you can handle this. He went the wrong way and he was still in the will. They threw him off the boat. He was still in the will. I'll prove to you he was in the will. It just happened to be a big fish. See, it just happened to be a big fish swimming beside the big boat, so that when men dumped him over, the fish just happened. This is too strong. You can't take this. The fish carried him down to the bottom of the mountains with seaweed wrapped around his neck. He's thousands of feet below sea level, and God sustained him. Sustained him not 1 day, not 2 days, not 4 days, but three days. Nothing just happens. On the third day, the backslidden, rebellious, reprobate, disconnected, disjointed preacher comes up out of the water. And thousands of years later, Christ says, even as Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days, so shall the Son of Man be in the grave. He had to get up when he got up, and he had to go down when he went down, because nothing just happens. Woo! Oh, God, your mistakes were in his will. Your trouble was in his will. Your pain was in his will. I don't care what you went through. David said, if I make my bed in hell, thou art there. If I take the wings of their morning and ascend to the uttermost parts of the earth, God is still there. He was with you in the middle of your trouble. He was with you in the middle of your pain. That's why Paul said, I've learned whatever state I'm in, therewith to be content. I know how to be rich. I know how to be poor. I know how to be free. I know how to be back. You ought to shout, I don't care where you are, because nothing just happens. got 7 people and tell him he's got a plan, he's got a plan. Whatever God has predetermined to happen, whatever God has predetermined to happen will come to pass. And no devil in hell has ever been able to abort the purpose of God, not once. And yes, God gave you a human will and you're a free moral agent, but if you think that your human will is strong enough to change his divine will, you are tripping. You are out of your mind. God is God. The reason we worship him as God is because he is the CEO. He is in charge. He runs the universe. And when God gets ready to make you, and when God gets ready to break you, and when God gets ready to take you, he's never been without the power to make you yield to his will. He's never, not one moment or time, not been able to orchestrate your affairs and nothing in your life. Think about the most damnable thing that ever happened and shout nothing. Think about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about the most impoverished, financially depleting thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about the worst scandal that you ever went through in your life and shout nothing. Think about people who loved you and walked out and left you and shout nothing. Think about betrayal on the highest level of your life and shout nothing. Think about the struggle going on your job right now and shout nothing. Think about the attitude of your kinfolks and your family members and shout nothing. Think about how your boss is treating you on your job and shout nothing. Think about that disagreement between you and your children and shout nothing. Think about your past life of sin, your whoremongering, your inappropriateness, your attitude, your dysfunction, and shout nothing. Shout nothing. Let the devil hear you say nothing. That devil will think he won if you don't shout nothing. The devil will think he's in charge if you don't shout nothing. He'll think he's gonna win, but you gotta shout nothing. In the midst of hell and high water, shout nothing. In the midst of pain and despair, shout nothing. When your credit is denied, shout nothing. When you're evicted out of your house, shout nothing. When your boyfriend marries somebody else, shout nothing. Nothing. Hey, we'll be right back after this.
Learn to rely on God with Bishop's latest series, Nothing Just Happens.
Even as Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days, so shall the Son of Man be in the grave. He had to get up when he got up, and he had to go down when he went down, because nothing just happens. God has a way of just choosing to bless you and saying, that lady right there, I'm going to leave that house for her. Can't nobody buy the house but her. Everybody else that tries to buy it, everything's going to be tied up. That's her house. Nobody's going to get it but her. Favor.